All right. If you were expecting for me to play the office of the president or something like that, that's not what happens. That is not how this show goes. Welcome everybody. Beer Better Thoughts. Oh, there's Michael Johnson right there. He's in a cameo. You guys thought it was going to be me and Scott going to be just me. It's been a very interesting week, guys. Beer Better Thoughts, Cyrus. I've got a lot of questions I'm sure some people have asked me. That's why I've got Ringo and Michael Johnson here at the very last minute.
Yo, what up?
Yeah, man. Am I drinking a beer? Yes, because I really, all the days I'm going to need it, I'm going to definitely need it. And it's called Pinkalicious, a sour ale. And don't mind me, I'm looking at my phone because the Chiefs are playing, and I'm kind of keeping up with the scores at the same time. So I gotta keep up. So cheers, everybody. Beer Better Thoughts, back with another episode, special episode talking about my recent election to the Presidente office of the president for the AMCF. Basically, I'm the Barack Obama of Armored Combat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Howard Longus and Fran Walker, for naming me the Obama of. And I think Charles here.
Does that mean when you're done, is your beard gonna go gray because you don't have the hair to like show it?
Oh yeah, it's already started. It's hard to say. See,
so one day, and it's popped in.
It's already started. Like I got a couple gray hairs already. It's just gonna be full gray.
Nice.
Because of the stress of you guys trying to kill me.
Yeah.
In more ways, not only in the list, but also with your questions and concerns.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I'll have tons for you.
It's coming. It's
It's gonna be like that. So hey, before we get too far into that, I want to say this. Let me fix this camera just a little bit, make it a little bit closer. All right. Thank you. That's what I can say. Thank you to the Warlords Combat Academy. Thank you to Next Wakanda. Thank you to everybody who I've competed against or made friends with and talked to about this. And yeah, I'm here to do my best to make the sport a success, not just shine a light on myself. Because yeah, it's a little bit about ego, a little bit, because I was like, oh yeah, this is cool, I can do this. But also it really is about, hey, I want to do something for the sport and do something for you all. So before you guys start hating me down the line or talking about me like in 5 to 10 years or even a couple months, talking about what is this guy doing? Thank you right now, and then you'll hate me later or dislike my decisions or the board's decisions, or we'll see. But,
good speech.
Yeah, that's all I got from my speech. I was trying to think about what I would say in my opening statement. I really didn't have much. I was trying to think about what I would say.
No, I think you nailed it. Especially the people going to be mad at you because they're gonna. It's coming.
It's gonna happen. I don't. There is no such thing as a perfect organization. There's just no sports league in the world is happy with anything. I think the Patriots won so many different Super Bowls, and people will still be upset about different things.
Yeah. Well, clearly they cheated for all of them. Clearly, it's definitely
obviously.
We won't get too far in that. So, so I Ringo's here. Michael Johnson's here. I messaged Ringo because I was. This kind of started because of you, because I was like, if you had asked me. So here's the story. So here's the story with how I got wind of this. So a couple months ago, I don't even know how long. It was fun months ago. Ringo asked me, "Oh, hey, are you gonna take over president?" I was like, "No."
I asked if you were gonna buy it because I'd heard a rumor. I actually heard the rumor from this kid.
I had heard a rumor that you were buying
That
the
you were
AMCF.
buying the AMCF. So I was like, "Hey, are you doing
it? Like, buy it. I was like, I heard like there were like some names floating on to be like to help lead and or like be on the board and help do a new usher leadership, but not like buy it or become a new president. I had no new. I know there were a couple names. Like I know there was like Charlie had thought about it. They had talked to him about becoming a leadership role and stuff like that. But outside of buying it or becoming president or a new president, nothing new. So then when you messaged me talking about, oh hey, buying it or becoming president, I'm like, I don't know anything about that. And then maybe like a couple of weeks later, I think like one of the guys from the board hit me up and was like, hey, there might be some leadership roles open up. And then sure enough, there was an email sent out by Scott talking about, hey, yeah, this is, and I was like, I messaged him. I messaged a couple people I knew from the board. I know a couple people on the board. I messaged him. I applied, and he was like, oh, it happened. So like, that's legitimately how I came. So had you not said anything, it wouldn't have
happened.
Right,
I'm taking full credit if you do well, and if you do poorly, it's not me. Wait, so who put your name up though? Right, so who
So yeah, a couple people. I know a lot of people on the board. I knew like Luke, Lauren, obviously from Warlord Combat Academy, Fran, Spencer. Spencer's brand new to the board. He just got elected, a couple months ago. And Fran from Knights of Kana. So both them from Knights of Kana. So those four. So between those four, I talked to one of them, and after I talked to Luke about it, because he was the one who talked to me about it initially, I kind of followed up. I just followed up with those three because I'm like, oh, I know these three. Let me see if there's any other names floating around, and if not, I can sell them on voting for me. I didn't really know anybody else on the board. I know that there are four other people on the board, but 3 or 4 other people on the board. But I know like I've met William Brandt once. We've competed a couple times. So I do know him in general, but I didn't know he was on. I didn't even know he was on the board, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, and we've competed together, and he's come down to the academy and stuff. So, but everybody else, I didn't really know. So, so there's that. So if there are people wondering how that happened, that's legitimately how it happened.
Yeah. That's the backroom deals going on right there.
Hey.
The Facebook Messenger deals.
Yeah, you probably open up a lot of Facebook Messenger. You see a lot of conversations about stuff you don't know about.
Yeah. So, you got it now. What's the basic? What's your basic thoughts going forward? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish?
This is my show, but I'm interviewing my own show. No, I think no.
You can't interview yourself. Are you gonna?
I can't interview myself. You're right. That's why I brought you on. You're a very neutral party. You literally just got back into the country like a week or 2 ago. So you know nothing, so you're completely neutral about anything. What's going on? So no, that's a good question, right? A lot of people have asked me that. What is my big plan for the future? Right now, my number one concern are really 2 things, really, right? Are making sure that the board and national, we're working together to make sure that qualifiers goes off without a hitch, right? There's no problems, there's no complaints, there's no mismatches, there's no, oh, this person wants to contest this, even after it's all over, and a couple weeks later, we have this whole thing about who's doing what. I want to make sure our number one computer is that, hey, qualifiers goes off without a hitch, selections are made, time is given, and after that, the number one priority is making sure that Team USA is chosen, picked, settled, and we are doing the best we can to support them in every way I can. So from the day that tournament ends, my job really truly begins. It doesn't really end. It's picking up the phone, making sure the selections are teams made, solidifying teams, and picking up the phone to anyone and everyone I can to make sure that Team USA is ready to go for Spain. Like those are my immediate concerns. Everything else is kind of like secondary to that. Those are the main priorities right now. There are some things long term that I have some ideas on, some things that I've kind of had some casual conversations with the board about. I'm still getting to know a lot of them. Like I said, I only know a few of them, and we've just started having those conversations of what long-term things are. But right now, our biggest concern right now is really qualifiers and Spain and making sure, hey, there's a lot of questions still about qualifiers. And it's not like big stuff. We do have the dates, we have the location. It's just like some little things, right? Um, and um, and then working with Nashville to make sure that that stuff goes out with Hitch. And there's still a lot of things I don't really know when it comes to IMCF. When it comes to IMCF parts of it that I'm still learning about. Like I said, I've just happened within the week, so there's still a lot of things I'm trying to figure out. So, but I want to make sure that, hey, these conversations are being had, and I'm working on it. I'm going to be working on it.
Yeah, good.
So,
do you for the AMCF selections you were talking about that the qualifiers going down? Is it working the same way as it did at Carnage the last time we like really had a full selection, or have you guys come up with a different model? Do you know?
So yes and no. We're still solidifying that. However, it will probably be very similar to what happened in Carnage a couple years ago. The winning teams are get priority, and then we kind of fill out after that. That's probably where we're going to end up going. It's the most fair way to do it, right? Whoever the winning teams can choose, and then we kind of work from there. It's like the most fair way to do it. I don't believe in this whole favoritism thing, and I pick the best people that I know, and I'm not going to pick just because I know you, or I know or just because you have the money to finance it. We're not necessarily the person to go. And I think that's the way to go, to be 100% fair. Because I'm going to be competing, so if I lose to somebody, I'm not going to pick myself because, But if I genuinely lost Sword and Shield match to someone, I'm not going to be like, no, I'm going to. That's bullshit. I'm not going to do that. Why would I do that?
Right. But the refs will call each strike you make as 2 points, right? Is that?
Yeah, I wish I would. I thought about it for a second. Maybe it slipped. I had a dream about it a little bit. No, I wouldn't. I genuinely, if somebody beats me, I'm not.
Yeah.
You're gonna beat me. I'm like, okay. I don't care if I lose or not.
Yeah. Dope. Good shit. So you said long term. Is that sort of long term? Do you see the AMCF as mostly existing to support IMCF, and like your focus, you said, was all on the team for this short term? Is that generally what you think the AMCF should keep doing, focusing exclusively on the team? And if so, is there anything you think you can do to help make that in the months up to our next qualifier? Or is it, not trying to be too aggressive with it, but like one of the concerns a bunch of people have had on the AMCF is that it kind of drops off after nationals. Like they do a nationals event and then it drops.
Right.
And then we don't see him again.
Right. And I agree with that. I think that the work, just because we've done nationals, we've picked Team USA, and Team USA does and goes across season, they're there, they're comfortable, and then we get back and the results doesn't end right there. Absolutely not. I think in my thought process, the AMCF needs to fill in the gaps of what the other leagues are not doing, right? I'm not saying that AMCF needs to be a league, because that's not what we need to be doing. That we don't. There's already ACS, there's ACW, there's HMB, there's Blue, all that's there. But we do need to be a unified brand for all of those, right? So supporting not just Team USA when they go overseas, but whatever Team USA is doing here. Right, so those qualifying teams, those qualifying fighters, whatever they're doing, promoting that, and it doesn't just stop when they come back. We need to continue to be a brand and be a brand that's helping those teams succeed, those fighters succeed, promoting what they're doing, promoting what their teams are doing, being a bigger influence in the not just in the North American market, just that plain and simple, and honestly, the AMCF needs to be fundraising year round. And I'm not saying we're going to be, not my goal overall, really, and I thought about it and I had to think about it, and I've talked to a couple people, that it's the Armor Combat itself is very insular, right? And it kind of feeds off itself, which is fine. However, it's getting to a point where it can no longer do that. And there needs to be an entity that's constantly outside of these couple of times, these tournaments, that we're focusing on promoting the sport in general. And I think that's where the AMCF needs to be. And I'm not just talking about on a national stage, but even from a local stage. If I'm contacting a local team that's, hey, there's a school, there's a high school, there's an elementary school, there's a hospital, there's a public event, and say, hey, here's a public event, AMCF is going to help you sponsor with that, help you partner with that. And we're going to talk about Team USA, and we're going to make sure the Knights of that local area. So there's just so many things that we can do to build repetition, where we don't actually have to be a competition league. Maybe in the future, maybe we'll host an extra event. Maybe, I don't know. But for right now, the goal is, my long-term goal, my thought process is that the qualifying team for Team USA, that AMCF can cover like 75% of whatever the travel's costs are. That's that long-term.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, for when you go overseas, like, the only thing you got to pay for is, like, you're going off after the tournament and your guys going off to sightsee or eat or whatever, and that you're just covering that. But our initial, once the show, because the biggest thing about AMCF, right, is to make the sport more accessible. And it is one of those things where it's like, oh, whoever can afford it ends up going sometimes, right? And then some people who fundraise, and then people can help in there. But why is that? Well, because we don't do the best at. It's hard. It's been a difficult journey to market the product, and it's difficult for people to pick up the phone and find sponsors, and outside of the league. So my long-term goal, and even people I've talked to on the board, long-term goal is like, look, finding sponsors for the sport. And that's why I asked you for some of your survey data. Some survey data I picked up, and looked at, the streaming numbers from everywhere, what the real streaming is. And it's up and down. But I think there's more than enough data to out there to make it work and make it on the phones. And network. And there's a lot of people who are already adjacent to that network that make it work. I'm going to do a series later in the year that talk about with people who make money doing boot hurt outside of boot hurt. Does that make sense? If that makes sense. And there's a lot of people who do it. Love them or hate them, Danielle does a great job at, like, making money. Desha has experience with working with her, and Craig have experience making money. Even right here in the DFW, Brett Skinner does a great job at, like, doing word stuff. And there's Mickey Gals from Nashville does a great job at building his business, building that account. And those folks there have done a great job with that. So, talking to those people and networking, even myself, I've, a lot of my tournaments I've gone to or in the beer community have paid for some stuff that I've done.
Yeah.
So, and even in Knights of Wakanda, like, we made money just in our very niche community that we've been doing events for. So, talking to these people, gathering these resources, and picking in people's brains to make AMCF that embody that under one place.
So on that, do you mind sharing a bit of your background professionally of why you think you're going to be able to make this happen? I mean, obviously, like you said, you have a little bit of experience with doing it with the beer stuff, but, like,
what does my professional experience? Yeah, what does my professional resume look like? No, I'll share that. I usually don't talk too much about my job. I think a lot of people, warlords, know about my job, but my job is what's called a relationship manager. That's my job. For probably the second largest automotive manufacturer in the world, which is called Stellantis, which owns Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Alfa Romeo, Fiat. I oversee an education program. So when I took that job 6 years ago, it didn't exist. The job didn't exist. They made it up. They gave us some very vague directions of what they wanted. And it requires a lot of travel, a lot of picking up the phones, a lot of bureaucracy, talking to deans and provosts and county people and high school instructors and high school counselors and parents and students and all these different people have to, like, and then dealer principals and people who own the dealerships, and these people who are, like, owning land and money behind the scenes, and you don't even know, but they own, like, half the city you live in, and you don't even know these guys who own some of these things. and not only just building relationship with them, but selling them on things or convincing them to do things or holding meetings. So, and giving them a direction. So building a program from scratch is literally what I've been doing the last 6 years. So it's a lot of multitasking, a lot of travel, and it's given me the ability to be very good at building relationships. And it does take some time, and there are going to be some wins, and there are also going to be some failures. And that's why I'm not promising anything, that, hey, by April, May, that this is going to be fully financed and people's not at all. I'm not promising that.
Yeah.
2-3 years down the line, it might be a different story.
All right, so the promise was 2 years. Got it.
2 years.
We're holding you to. I got it in writing.
I definitely said maybe. But the big thing is that I can't do it alone, right? So that's why I'm making sure I'm going to be, just like I said, I'm going to be talking to the board gather what their ideas are, what theirs are, and then I'm going to call on the community. Some people have already hit me up. I'm going to call the community to help me pick up the phone and get on the phone to people and network with other people. So, that's kind of what my job is in a nutshell and what my professional experience is. I built a program from 10 schools to now I have 35 schools, and I had to literally go out and find them and vet them and find other industry professionals when I didn't know something, find other industry professionals to help me. And that's what I'm going to do. People who know the sport and people who know certain types of business, I'm going to call on you and say, hey, look, I need a moment every time and to help me vet this and get this working. So I think that's been the issue in the past. I think that, and I'm not to knock it. I don't think it was ever like their speciality, right, or their expertise or to be able to pick up the phone to someone else and say, hey, I need a little help.
Yeah.
Or what are you doing? What can I learn from you? They kind of, hey, I've been doing this for a long time. I know what I'm doing. Maybe you do, but there's other things that you don't know, right? And I can admit, I can be like, I genuinely don't know. Let me find someone who can probably help us out. Because I genuinely know. No, there's something I can't do or something I don't know. I'm not afraid to admit I don't know. And I think that's the problem with some people. They think they got it, and some people are afraid to ask for help. But I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to be the person that's like, I'm not going to be afraid to ask for help to make sure that this is a success.
Part of me wants to ask who you think those people are, but let's be positive.
This ain't that stream.
Let's be positive. Let's not throw shade.
No, I can answer that question. I can answer that question.
Hey man, if you wanna call out on people, I'm about it.
And I think the people that you might think are not the people I'm thinking about.
Okay.
So what I don't really say to much people, and I do scan Facebook, and I do cross-reference people who are in the community versus LinkedIn and certain things. So there's a couple of people I've noticed that do really well in marketing. So specifically, there's one person I ran into a couple of weeks ago, Jocelyn Wright. She's with one of the newer teams. Marketing knows marketing like no other, right? Yeah. So that's a person I've like. Great marketing, great contact person. On the board right now, Spencer Waddell. The most charismatic person that you'll ever meet in your entire life. That guy can talk his way out of a paper bag and tell you that you don't know, but very friendly and very, but knows how to network and made so many connections just by being a very pleasant person. Very pleasant person and very accepting and just being those people. And knowing how to shake people's hands. He'll tell you himself. Then there's people like even Fran and even Desha, who researched loopholes out the ass about how to get money for stuff. Those two, I've had conversation with them both on separate occasions where they know, and they've even used it on their own things to gain finance. Now, they're not saying it's perfect. It's never been perfect, but even there was trial and error. But they know their information. They know the beginning stages. They know, and they've had some successes. And then also there's people who have been around for a while who I don't really won't talk to necessarily, but I'm very adjacent to, and I can see where the wins and losses are and where the losses are. And I'm like, I probably will stay away from that for a while.
Yeah. But even then, like I said earlier, love or hate him, Danielle is a guy who's had a lot of successes. Yeah, for real.
A lot.
I think at this point we can say he's changed American steel fighting already.
Correct.
Like, you know,
we're gonna have a conversation, and we're gonna have a conversation. I'm gonna actually be on. I'm gonna have a conversation in a couple of days, or either this Wednesday or next Wednesday or something like that. On his talking about some stuff. So I think there's a lot of people like that, and then even there's some people outside of the sport that I network with in the beer community that I've had long-term lasting relationships that have built businesses from scratch and brands and things like that, and I'm going to be leading on them. So and a lot of people that I just know professionally that I'm going to be talking to. So it's more so in how we can grow the sport from there. So it's not just insular, but also I'm going to be reaching out outside of the sport. But there are some people that, hey, in this sport I'm going to ask, and even Mickey, even to a point, Mickey, I'm like, yeah, I need some. You've done a fantastic job. How can we work together to not only do what you're doing with there, but how can we replicate that 20 times over, right?
100%.
What you guys
So to kind of switch gears for a second, America has a bad reputation in the community for a variety of reasons.
Okay.
The split, the other split.
Yeah.
We're Americans. Americans in Europe also just have a fucking bad.
Yeah. But also the acronym that Charlie uses like to use this whenever he talks about it. He's like, Daddy and Daddy had an argument and they got divorced.
Yeah.
That's how Charlie says it. He doesn't ever say names. Just Daddy and Daddy had an argument. And now we are where we are. That's what he says.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, there's more than that too. Like
there's more to it, but that's how he just sums it.
Sure, no, yeah. I just mean in the international community, there's other stuff that I mean, Americans have a bad reputation because Europeans often just look down their noses at us, sometimes with good reason. And then also we do not follow the authenticity rules as well as other countries, and we've pushed on that more than other countries. A bunch of shit. Anyway, do you have a plan to sort of try and repair the damage that has been done, and also maybe reverse sort of our reputation as the loud, brash, shitty country?
Honestly, I don't.
All right.
The only reason is because I wasn't around for all that, so I know nothing about. I know stories that people have told me, but other than those stories and some conversations I was heard, I know nothing about that. Yeah. I know only what I've been exposed to in tournaments here. I can speak to the authenticity thing. I think that AMCF really doesn't really stick too much to it. So I really can't answer for all the other stuff, but AMCF doesn't really kind of, they really, even before, their authenticity wasn't the thing. It is a thing, but only to, is it operational? Is it safe? Is it that, there's some rules to it.
Yeah.
And I do want to make sure that, hey, we're being safe, and I'm not, I will be very critical of, illegal weapons and things like that, and things you don't need. But for the most part, I don't really have a plan outside of that, because I wasn't around.
Yeah.
So I don't really, I have yet to have a conversation with any of the international people as of yet.
Right.
So I really can't give you an answer to that one.
That's fair. It's valid. It's a very good answer, and not one you would I usually expect to hear from leaderships. That makes me feel well that you're willing to admit that. So speaking on safety, authenticity type stuff, do you think the AMCF should take more of an active role in refs and trying to get certification, trying to help support our support staff? You talked about raising money to send fighters to the nationals, which it would be fucking dope. But is one of the things, do you think it's the AMCF's place to try to do that, to raise money, to bring refs to events, to get people, who run the list, to put the list together? Is that AMCF's place, or is that things that locals really should manage, do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the answer is yes. We should. It is AMCF's place to have some sort of marshaling system. Absolutely, if your event wants it. If they want it, yes. I think that their depths. I have never been a part of a. I've done lots of intramural leagues. I've never been in part of an intramural league that has such low cost of entry. I mean, armor costs, travel costs, yes, but to register for a tournament is never. I've paid maybe like 3 times for a tournament, ever, maybe, So yes, I think there should be a registration fee for all events. And that registration fee should go predominantly towards paying refs. And I've had this conversation with at least one or two people on the board that is a realm of possibility. I think we are going to do that for qualifiers, probably. I think we're trying to work it out right now, where some of the registration fee money will go towards some assisting, for some of the people that we're trying to get, but we're still trying to figure all that out. But yes, I think it is a place where, yes, we should be providing marshals. I would love to do something, have enough people, at least, like there's at least regionally, there's enough, 1 or 2 people per region, wherever we're gonna, that can travel to your event if you want it. If you register it with AMCF, that it's an AMCF event, or co-branded or whatever we decide to do event. But yeah, I think that is our place, but only if they want it.
Right. But like, you think it should be an option that you guys should try to put that forward, try to be more involved in helping people set up, if they're asking for it.
Yeah, because what's the biggest issue we have at sometimes these major events? Marshalling, counting, all this stuff like that. If we have at least, even if it's only 2 or 3 people who are experts and who are at these events and training other people to understand what the points are, what's legal, what's not legal, that helps a long run.
Yeah,
in the long run, it helps.
Yeah, that's 2 or 3 more than some events have.
Right. My goal right now is to have 2 right now. Scott will be there for qualifiers as lead marshal. I'm still trying to get maybe 1 or 2 others, so I'm still trying to work through that to assist the national guys.
So on that note, HMB has been pushing a certification program for their refs. IMCF, as far as I know, does not do that. Do you think AMCF would eventually try to step up and create their own certification, or not, because they work through the IMCF and the IMCF hasn't done it?
I'm not going to answer that one because I need to figure out what that.
All right. Part. Yeah. You need to talk to your peoples.
Yeah.
All right. Fuck. I had a question on a thing, and now I forgot what it was.
Michael Johnson, what's your question? You're just looking there with Dave's look on your face.
I'm mostly here just because Ringo's at my place.
I need a beer anyway.
One of my questions is the openness of who's on the board. Because even with how active I've been in the sport and stuff, it's very difficult to figure out who all is in different leadership positions throughout the various different organizations we have.
That's that's a very good comment. And I 100% agree to you, because if you look if you actually go take the moment to look at the website, it hasn't been updated with who the actual board members actually are. So
right.
One of my goals, I don't have a time frame in which I'm going to be able to get it done, or when, because the holiday times are coming up and it's a lot of things going up. But one of the projects is that, yes, we will update the site, and I would like to make the board members who are still there, who are on the board, a lot more visible, and I would like to have them a lot more visible, and who they actually know who they are, and they can answer questions as well, or be a resource. So that because what I don't want is everyone's messaging me for every question when there are other board members. And the only reason I know, because I know the board members, some of them personally, so I'll message them about stuff. But I think 70% of them, the community doesn't know who they are. So, but yes, I do think that's a long-term project, and I've had some conversations about that you do need to know who they are. I couldn't even name to you who I know, like 2 people who are on the HMB USA. I know like 2.
Right. I feel like that's a problem in our community that this is a great opportunity to solve, at least for the AMCF. And kind of as like a sidebar to that same question is the openness of the meetings of the board and everything. Is there any chance that some minutes could be posted for some meetings and such, just to be like, this is what your board is discussing and working on. Here are the people you can bring questions to about these topics we discussed or what we're planning to discuss. You can shoot emails and such for your thoughts for our upcoming meeting. That way, those who do track and everything can get their voices out to you guys before you guys have the meetings and everything like that as well.
I can tell you that
it's a big ask. I know that.
It's a big ask. However, the reason why I'm yes, I'm going to give you the answer like this. I can only give you a reference. So one of the things that I do for my job is I sit on multiple advisory board meetings for colleges and schools. The minutes are open, right? So I can, the ASC certification board of the United States can go in there and say, oh, I don't know, Tarrant County Community College, which is in Fort Worth, had a meeting on such and such date about their automotive program, and here are the minutes. Here's what they discussed. Not in full detail, but here are the overall.
Right.
I can say yes, probably. I haven't figured out how often we are going. Some of it's very general conversations we have. So actual meetings, we haven't established that. Like how often? I know it's like probably like once a quarter that we have like an actual like video chat meeting or something like that, where that's like the goal. So when we do have those, we have the minutes or a proposal. I would like to see that. Yes, an agenda typically, but we'll see. Yes, I want to say yes, but I don't know how often we do those actually types of meetings.
Fair. Also, completely different topic. AMCF, as a representative to the overall IMCF, will there be a chance for us to start helping the revision of the rule set so it's more clear and readable?
That question has been asked to me the other day when I was at they brought that up because we were just talking about the rule sets just to get ready for IMCF, what we were like doing. And there's some rooms there are some people who are very vocal about 2 particular rules they just hated, and they're like, snap my fingers, I wish I could just make this go away. I want to say yeah, but honestly, I don't have an answer to that one either. Because once again, I haven't dealt with anyone on the international community, so I really can't give you an answer to that. I want to say yeah, that I would do my best to advocate for it if that happens, but I want to say yeah, but I really don't know. Since I haven't had a conversation with any of those people, I really have no idea how receptive they are to anything. If anything at all from the U.S. Like you said, they have a very specific opinion.
Yeah, history.
So I think I will do my best impression of Barack Obama and do my best to rebuild our reputation in international communities. And then after I leave, someone else can fuck it up. But that's all I can really say.
Switching gears again. There's a focus in the community where, for the most part, maybe I'm speaking anecdotally, so the data I have, I think, backs this up, but mostly just in my experience, when we talk about Bullhurt, 90% of the time we're talking about 5-on-5 men's.
Mm-hmm.
But that leaves out all women's melee, as well as all duels, women's and men's, and it also kind of leaves out mass battles, and we are starting to talk more about pro fights, but there's no real talks about what the IMCF version of. So is that a thing where the AMCF is going to try to do more to bring in the groups that aren't talked about as much to try to sort of get a bit more parity, or is that not AMCF's role?
So that's a hard question to answer, but the short answer is yes, it is our goal to bring more light to that and put a shine on that. And I think one of the conversations that Kobe and myself were having to bring more of a shine light on that, especially on mass battles and women's specifically. And then also, I'm a huge fan of the duels. So, I think that's something missing, and I'm trying to, and, there has been a resurgence, especially in the duels categories, of popularity of people coming back to do it, especially with, work that, HMB Duels League was doing, and then even some of the, Wandering Sword project we had, and Modern Assault Duels, things like that. So I definitely believe that's going to happen. The women's category is going to be the toughest one. I think there's more than enough women's teams to make it popular here, especially fives. It's just going to be, I don't know what it's going to take for the international community to pick up on it. And I definitely know it's something I want to promote here. And especially pro fights. I don't understand why IMCF doesn't have a pro fight circuit, but once again,
they do, but they started it the year we didn't do anything.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if the rules are on their website anymore.
They're not. I checked right before this meeting.
So, but yeah, they came up with a set of rules. I think they did one set of events on it, but I just kind of wanted to know if that was the thing AMCF was targeting in your mind. The comments in this have not been the most enlightening.
Yeah, there's like two comments. I was like, a couple people watching have coming on, but I figured the red one mentioned it.
Do you mind if I share some thoughts on the women's thing?
Sure, go ahead.
We constantly see events that are men's events. They're co-ed, but they're not. They're men's, right? And only a few people actually put on direct women's events. So that feels like a thing that maybe the AMCF can step up to help with, because there isn't a dearth of men's events. There's a dearth of mass melee, and maybe there's a dearth in singles, but there isn't a dearth of 5-on-5 and 3-on-3 men's, right? That they happen constantly. We would like more. We'd like more big ones, but like focused events for women is not a thing you see. I think maybe 3 places will do it.
No, absolutely. I agree. In fact, something I was working on, and we just ran out of time. We just couldn't figure out the time to do it. Me and Chan were working on a women's melee. We just couldn't figure out the timing, like when the timing was just like really bad. Because we were trying to make sure that all the women could go, but we just couldn't figure out the timing. It is something I think the IMCF should do. I definitely think there's that. I think it's not even just a league thing. It's just an event that we co-host with maybe it might be with the Mythics that we do with them. And I definitely believe that I think one of the things that can be done, one of my personal long-term things is that outside of reviving some of the dual stuff is to do a 10s or larger tournament. That'll be nice. It was already a conversation myself and one of the other guys were already having kind of a sketch before this something, so maybe that's something we can work on. I've kind of got some general ideas on that, and like I said, I already had some general ideas about the women's tournament already, discussions with a couple people. So maybe that's something we do, but I don't know. I don't know if we'll see it in the next year. I would love to see it in the next year, but I don't think it will happen. But it is something long term. Yeah, I've kind of thought about. Like I said, I think one of the things that AMC should be doing is like doing things that co-hosting and things like that. That things that everyone else isn't doing.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't. The AMCF is not here to compete with, and I want to make this clear. The AMCF is not here even long term to compete with ACW, ACS, or HMB. It is a all cohesive, working with them all, or HMB and all that stuff. Blue Heart League, whatever it is, we're not here to compete against that or hold rival events or take away from that. That's not the goal at all. It's more so just to kind of bolster things that they're not able to do.
So how do you sit in that space of not competing if Botan and HMBIA become a thing again that people want to do, right? Because HMBIA and IMCF are clearly rival and competing organizations.
Right.
So if AMCF supports IMCF and HMB USA supports HMBIA, how can you be a non-competing organization?
I speak to that in the circumstance of here in the USA. I can't speak to the international stuff. I can't speak to the USA. Like, I'm sure like IMCF is going to be like, oh, we want you to hold. I'm not going to do that. It's just there's no. Even if we became a part of them, there's just no feasible way to do it anyway. Number one, and number two, there's some events that are super established that they're just established, right? They're HMB events. You got number one being Carnage. Everybody, I'm going to go to that. Everybody goes to that, right? If you're worth a grain of salt, you're going to go to that. Number one, and I think the California Classic is growing to where that might be a big one, really big one soon. And then, I'm sure that then ACS has their ACS National Championships, which is going to be which is partnered with Blue Heart League this year. So I think that if we were to create an event, and if the IMCF said, "Hey, we want you guys to create a league or an event," and like that, it's just in the U.S. there's very limited space in how we could do it, because there are just some things that we're never going to be able to outdo and get the same attendance as at some of those events. I could probably put an event together and probably say, okay, I could probably compete with California Classic maybe right now, maybe, but I'm not going to be able to touch anything that Carnage is not going to come close to that, or even Action not going to come close to those two events. Like, it's just not. There's usually about a dozen teams regularly that are fighting that. There's probably about 30, 40, singles people that there's no way. And then feasibly, then you have to look at. It's expensive, right, to go places and host events, and it's expensive for people to travel to your events. And if you there's kind of like these small windows you have to place it and market it the right way and make it affordable. And it's just, there's a lot that goes into that without us being an actual league. And that's why I say I don't think we should be a league. We just be a sponsor for events, and that's literally just what we are. The events that want IMCF rules.
So, assuming HMB and HMBIA patch up, we're post this war shit, everyone's happy again. Probably not gonna happen. But let's, in this fantasy scenario I have, do you see the AMCF being a co-sponsor of HMB USA events if they come and ask you? If they were like, hey, could you guys help us out, with getting some of your refs or whatever, is that a thing that you go, yeah, we would be okay signing on to that?
I think the gray area is Blue Heart League stuff. I don't think if it's a full HMBIA event, no. However, Blue Heart League is a gray area because Blue Heart League is not necessarily isn't tied to HMBIA anymore.
Right.
And for example, I can give the IMCF qualifiers 2 days ago or a day ago for Australia was a Blue Heart League event. So I could do that. Blue Heart League said, "Hey, we need some of your refs because we're going to partner with Blue Heart League and AMCF want to do a co-event together." I'm for that because I know it can be, because I've seen how it can be done, right? But not necessarily HMBIA. No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm going to say straight up no to that.
That makes sense. Switching gears one more time, you talked about affordability a second ago, and you had talked about, you know, how this is an expensive sport to get into personally, but not an expensive sport to play organizationally, right? Like we don't pay these registration fees, et cetera, et cetera. That's been a huge issue for in terms of vocal opposition whenever people have mentioned pay to play schemes, right? If you look at, I don't remember if I put it in this data, but if you look at my last one, there was a substantial number of people who just straight up said pay to play is wrong. I think like 10%. You just were like no pay to play at all.
Yeah.
And then there's, various ways of like, we'll pay one fee, but I hate paying all of this, and especially when you're talking about multiple leagues asking for registration. So what sort of is your plan to address both the community resistance to the idea of pay to play, and then also the real thing of, hey, I'm paying out of pocket 20 times instead of, like if I go play soccer, I pay once, right? I pay my league fee and then I'm good. And, maybe a tournament fee. Versus like now it's like a league fee and then another league fee and then an event fee and then
here's what I can say about that. I don't want to like word this politically so people don't. I mean, there probably really isn't anything I can say about that. That's like going to make sense or be fair to anybody. And without being a savage either.
Be a savage. Go. Go off.
There's no money in sport. Who else? How are you going to get this stuff paid for? You complain about being a fee to travel, but then you also complain about, or paying a pay to play, right? But then you also complain when you get there that there's not a train ref or there's not the list is dicey or whatever it may be, or we're in a park somewhere randomly. Well, there's no money in the sport. So unless you're going to pay a registration fee per tournament, how do you expect? I'm not a millionaire. I'm half. There's like two people I know that are kind of sort of well off that do the sport, that I'm generally aware of, but there is no money. So if you want the sport to succeed, you're gonna have to invest in it. You're already investing in it. You bought your armor. You bought your armor. You bought your plane ticket. You bought your bus ticket. Whatever you're doing, you got in the car. You filled the tank of gas. You pay a $25 to $50 registration fee for wherever tournament you're going to ensure that these things are in place. Now, like I said, I've done plenty of intramural sports before. I've had to pay for a lot of those things. That's how it is. You pay a registration fee, and then you might have to go to a tournament, and then you got to pay another tournament to do that, to make sure that there are refs there, to make sure the field is available. So I understand where those people are coming from. Some of those people, I'm aware they came from a sport where they were just like fully functioning on volunteers. But we're moving into a new age where that's not feasible long term, because people, it's not feasible long term, plain and simple. Yeah. And then my whole thing about that is that any money that's left over, I'm not going to pocket it. I'm not putting it in my pocket. I'm not putting it in the pockets of other people. It's going to be reinvested back into the sport you love, that we all love to do. I'm not going to pay myself to go do anything. I don't make any money. I don't make any money from this. I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm literally taking time out of my week, of my 80 hour. I work 80 hours a week for my job, 80 hours a week. So I'm taking, and that's not even including the time I train at Warlord. It's not including the time that I'm coaching or teach or running practice and working out. And there's 100 hours a week I'm probably pulling out that. And then I'm doing this. So, and I'm doing it for free. I'm building the sport for free. So, and I'm not the only one. There's 20, 30, 40 other people who are doing the same thing, or doing the best they can. So, there's people doing the same thing. So, I'm still paying the same registration fees you guys are. I'm not exempting myself from paying fees. So it's one of those things where tough shit. We need the money to reinvest in sport you love, to make sure there's refs, make sure there's a list, make sure that, hey, the marketing dollars to promote your event have to come from somewhere. AMCF doesn't charge you anything. It's $20 for your membership. That literally just covers. I looked at it. That's literally just covers the insurance. That's all it does per person. That's all it does. They're not keeping any of the money to do other things with it. Literally amount. So, pay the fees, guys. Just pay the fees. Get over it. The money's going to be reinvested in the sport. Even if you were to calculate how many people there are in the sport, and then you charge that by like an average price of like $50, you got enough money for one person to live off of. Like one person. So there's nobody in here getting like, living their best life with the fees. That's probably, if you ranked all the fees that all different people pay, probably enough person for one person.
Yeah.
One person's salary.
So first off, someone needs to clip that because that was fucking dope. Like anytime someone complains, just fucking drop Cyrus the clip right there. I have some follow-up questions on that though. If I can remember them, which I probably can't. So yeah, you said the $20 fee for your insurance just covers the insurance.
Yeah,
But how do you feel about publishing the cost, the income and costs for AMCF, like quarterly or yearly? One of the companies I follow in the RPG, Fate, quarterly breaks down their budget. This is a for-profit company, and they put out, hey, these are the books we sold, these are the people we paid, and all of these things. And it's a thing I've been pushing for, kind of behind the scenes, like, hey guys, what if we put our books out and let people see? And so, like, how do you feel about that? Like, open book.
When we actually have some money to actually show people, maybe, yeah, probably.
At least 3 people bought memberships this year.
Yeah,
at least 3.
I will leave that. I'm not going to make that decision. I'm going to leave that decision up to the board to decide if they want to do that. I'm not going to make that decision on my own.
That makes sense.
But I can tell you, I've seen the book. There's no money.
Yeah.
But I will leave that. I will definitely leave that. That's a decision I will let the board decide. I'm not going to decide that.
I don't think there is money there. I've been in the sport long enough to know there's no money in the sport. But like I feel like things like that would help. Yeah. Personally, at least.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's fair, because I won't. There is a particular league that charged a particular fee initiating, and then there's a monthly fee that recurred after that, and then all this stuff happened, and then nobody knows where the actual money actually goes or what happens with it. No, I don't. But I do know I will take that back. I'll take that back. If you call, I will take that back. If you talk to them and you have an event, they will give you some money, but I don't know. Right. So that I will take that back. I will absolutely take that back.
Yeah. You're not saying that they're stealing the money. You're saying it's opaque of where it goes.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
But once again, that's their right. But if they decide,
it's what every other league does too.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't a thing. It is not normal for people to open their books. Correct. I'm just asking, especially with the AMCF's mission of being like, to better the sport. To me, it makes sense. So, I forgot my other 3 questions. So
yeah, if the board decides, I won't make that decision. If the board decides, hey, that they want to open up the books and share people what we are doing, I know there's a couple of things. There are a couple of resources that some of them want to share and want to put out in the public. They've been amassing for a little while that they want to put out there and references, things like that, to make the sport more accessible and help other teams and help individual fighters do certain things. Absolutely, I know there's some stuff that they want to do. And I'm hoping over the course of the next 12 months they'll be able to get to that. But yeah.
So I remembered one of my other questions. If you look at the breakdown on income and age for our sport, it's sort of weirdly broken up, where for the most part we're a pretty old sport, 30 plus, and for the most part we actually make a shit ton of money. Like, most people are making more than 50 grand, and I think more than a quarter we're making close to 6 figures or more. We're pretty well off as a sport, which makes sense. It's a pretty expensive hobby. Most people are getting into it late, but there's a substantial portion of people who make very little, like 30 or under, and then also who there's a bunch of people in that 25 and under range, and it sort of comes down that I would imagine there's a bunch of people who have time but no money, and there's a bunch of people who have money but no time. Is there a way that you think that we can match that up so that the broke people who have time can work off their fee, and the people who have more money can be willing to say, hey, I'll pay double if I don't have to ever ref or something like that? Like, is there a way that we can use that disparity to try to match up rich and poor, but time rich for time poor? Like you said, you're working. How are you doing this job if you work 80 hours a week though? Like, for real though.
I'm just really good at scheduling. I'm dead honest. If you look at my calendar, I literally have every hour on the hour I have a project done.
Do you have time to mentor? Can you
teach
me? Yeah, can you teach me?
Friends actually. I also take ADHD communication because I can't pretend, because I couldn't think. My brain shut down for a little while. So, but I actually legitimately need it. But also, like, even that only helps me so far. But it is about. Here's what I'll give you kind of an answer to both what you're asking and how my own scheduling works. A long time ago, and I don't tell too many people about this. I made some early mistakes in my college days, and I was homeless, like legit. Like, I made some mistakes on my own volition, and for a good 2 weeks, I'm talking about sleeping outside and homeless for a good 2 weeks. And I vowed to never do that again. I ended up spending a day in jail for something stupid random, like around that time too. And then I got introduced to this guy maybe like before I got my hustle and grind. He RIP to the Godfather. People knew what I'm talking about, Mr. Kevin Samuels. And he once said this to me. He said this, but also my grandfather said it to me too. And it kind of rang back after he said it. And I said, if you have enough time in the day to work 8 hours, but you're broke, you sleep 8 hours, right? So that's 16 hours. What are you doing for the other 8 hours? What are you doing for the rest of the day? You got plenty of time to do something else. So if I work 8 hours and I'm sleeping 8 hours, that's 16 hours. There's still another 8 hours unaccounted for, right? Right, my math is right. So either I'm getting another job, I'm working out, I'm networking, I'm doing whatever. If I'm making $15 an hour and I slept 8 hours, I got time to go get another part-time for 4 or 5 hours, make another $15 an hour. So if there are people, and I've had to do that, I legitimately do that, and I'm doing that now to pay for my own wedding, so I'm working multiple jobs to do that. So if there are people who are struggling financially, and I get it, like there's so many, trust me, I've seen it all. Like I said, I've been homeless, mom in hospital for cancer, my family sick, my brother struggling, my brother sick, my nephew, all these different things, everything. I've seen it all. And I understand that life is life and it's hard, but if the case is that you want to do this sport and you're struggling, there are people on your team who are doing the same thing, right? So with that being said, I think there are sacrifices that you can make, that you can talk to and figure out. And it's not my personal thing to give you that advice, because that's ultimately up to you. But there are so many, we live in a world where there's so many ways to legally, earn income or legally support the sport and do things. There's so many different things that you can do that's unique, that might be just unique to you to make this work, and I can provide I can provide endless amounts of examples, but I'm not going to go too far in that, because I am gonna talk about that a little more later. But I don't. If you want to do the sport, there's plenty of avenues to do it. There's even if it takes you a couple months to, man, I got to buy this piece of armor, save this piece of armor, this piece of armor, this piece of armor, and then in between that time, I'm helping out, or I'm training with somebody, or I'm helping someone else, or I'm squiring, or I'm learning something on YouTube for whatever I got to do. But there's so many different avenues, and I don't really have I'm kind of rigid where I don't have if you're broke and you're trying to do the sport, I don't really feel bad for you. I don't have that kind of sympathy, because I've been there, and a lot of people that I know who, like you're saying, that survey, who are making that close to 6 figures, worked hard to get to it, to where they can. So it's like, it's a part of life. And I wish I could, there are network basically, right? And I understand that's hard. But I had to get to a point, even myself, where I had to get off the phone and figure it out. I want to do this and had to figure it out. And I think that's why I do my podcast, and that's why I talk to so many people about this. And then I think there are definitely people that do the sport who have figured out ways that are unique to them to make it work, that really are don't make what I make, or don't make what certain people make. I'm not going to say any names, but there are people even on our Warlords team that, they're not millionaires or rich. They're making, but they're making it work, and they're figuring out what's unique to them to make it work, to do it, to live their best life. And then say, sometimes some months are tight, and then other months they're like, oh yeah, man, I got it, no problem, I can do it. That's all I can really answer that. I don't really have like a philosophical or an answer of here's how everyone can do this and do that.
Yeah, I feel you on that, and I get the sacrifice thing on it too. Like, I lived on the floor on a futon mattress in technically illegal housing for a little while, to because that's how I could afford it. I cashed out my 401k the first time to buy armor. So
I want people to I do want to help people though. I'm not going to just do philosophize and say that's what it is. But I'm going to try to build resources for people and some knowledge and things and some references. That's why I want to talk to people like Spencer and Fran and Desha, who have been able to make this work for them, and even people like other people I know, who have done the sport and figured out how to make it work, and who have that time. Like I said, there's a lot of people who are really young who want to do the sport, and it really is about patience. I think it really is also a patience. I know you want to be in a hurry, but the one thing you got versus I don't have is time. I'm 35 years old, and you guys are some of these guys are in their early 20s. Hey man, train with the local guys, buy your piece at a time, take your time. If you can go to event, but training and absorb the knowledge. Like, there's so much knowledge out there. I would just tell them to do that. There's so much knowledge. I mean, from the videos that Brett Skinner put out, to Craig Ivey, to the videos that are streamed overseas from the Russians and the Ukrainians and what you got. So much knowledge. And then even, there's so much knowledge out there. Take your time, train, get yourself in your best shape you want to be, buy yourself a piece of life. If you want to do it. But that's all I can really tell you. I don't really have a solve for that. Yes, Raul Felix. Yes, this is is live now. Yes, it is live now. Mr. News Reporter Ringo, you got any other hard-hitting journalistic questions?
I could probably go into a bunch of shit that's not relevant really to the AMCF, but it's not really relevant to the AMCF. So
I don't really know if I was really allowed to give out some of the answers that I gave out.
Good. I hope you did. I hope you violated.
I hope the board is just blowing up your phone right now.
They're blowing up like, oh my gosh, can't believe you said that. We're not supposed to just say, you can't say things like that. Well, I'm a president for all Americans. Okay, I'm doing things a little bit different. Okay, yeah. I want to be as transparent as I can. Like I said, I'm not afraid to admit that there's some things I just don't know yet. Like I said, it's been a week. Like, it hasn't even been a week. So I can't really, guys, but I'm just going to give you what my hopes and dreams are, and what some of the long-term goals are. You guys don't know, AMCF qualifiers will be in Nashville on January 14th and 15th. You can get there as early as the 13th to drop off your stuff. We're gonna put up the event stuff in the next week or two. The event page is gonna go up in the next week or two for you guys to, sign up and register and all this other stuff, and
pay your tournament fees.
Yeah, pay your tournament fee, because it's just gonna go into paying the marshal and reinvest back into Team USA once election's over. I'm going to be fighting, so if you just really get mad and you're really frustrated about something, you just hit me extra hard in the melees, I guess. If you, just,
you probably don't have the answer to this. I did just think of another one. But do you know if what the tabards are going to be.
I haven't even begun to think about that. I don't even know.
All
I'm
right.
going to one of those things, so I'm going to rely on some of the people who have been on board a little bit to kind of figure that out. Because I know.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd have that answer, but
I mean, that actually, like, we actually have a conversation about the tabards for ACS Nationals. Like, oh, you know what? How do we get tabards for Team USA? I don't even know how to do that.
Yeah.
Do we even have, who makes those? Do we make those? I have no idea. So that's a question I got to figure out. Does he charge? Does he pay a fee? Do we charge him? I have no idea. So I'm gonna figure it out. I have no idea.
It's fun times.
Somebody, hear about this? Someone has some cool designs. I'm gonna shoot them to me. Some designs for Team USA tabards, and I'm open to.
Make sure there are sleeve options.
Sleeve options.
No, sleeves.
Sleeves are dope.
Sleeves are the worst.
Sleeves are
Actually seems kind of nice, actually. I'm gonna agree with Michael. I kind of like sleeves.
Yeah. Well, all right. You're both wrong.
All right.
Yeah, I think it was good. I'm sorry, I got no more questions. Thanks for having us on. I think this was real good in terms of introducing yourself to anyone who might not know you. Oh, hey, Shoshana asked a question.
Sure.
I could read it, but I feel like you can do that.
Also read it.
Are we allowed to use the original design? I wasn't around when the original name design came out, so probably I'm gonna say I'm probably not gonna hold you to it.
I'm gonna say you should talk to your board people about that, because I would not be surprised if certain individuals were litigious.
Okay, we'll see. Maybe.
I don't know that they could be and would have standing, but like,
you should check.
Yeah.
I mean, if you remember,
People have tried in the past.
Yeah.
It's some people like to throw lawsuits around in the sport.
Well, we'll see. Like, let us do. I'll look at the old design and I'll tell you that, Shoshana. I don't know. I don't even know what they looked like. I mean, remember, I qualified for it. The AMCF qualifiers last qualifier, and I never got to go anywhere. So So I don't know. But I will keep you. I will let you know as soon as I figure that part out. It's like one of those things I gotta decide. I gotta figure out. I guess it's one of those things I gotta figure out before the qualifiers even happen. So I gotta figure that part out too.
Yeah, especially with actual build time and sizing orders and stuff,
and letting people know if they have to pay for it, because it's another fee on top of the
fair
thing. I think was another thing on the fee things that I kind of forgot. That the biggest complaint I think I've seen from people actually on fees, the most reasonable complaint I've seen from people on fees, is that a lot of times it gets dropped late, right? So like the event will be out for months, and then maybe a month before we find out there's a registration fee, or something along those lines. And that's in my opinion, that's pretty shitty.
Right. So that's why I'm trying to, like, the 60 days beforehand, because we just figured out nailed down the date.
Yeah.
Exactly 60 days beforehand, we'll have it. The date, time, and the registration fee is all out at all in one point in time. The tabards, I don't really know how much tabards cost off, like, in general. Like, I have tabards. I've ordered some, but they cost me like $30 to get made, so in order. But I ordered like some very generic colored ones. I didn't really like any like specific designs that I ordered.
The fee for the old ACL team was about $100, I believe.
Woo!
But I wouldn't be surprised if there was some markup in there. But also, nice tabards are often fairly expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
Were they?
We'll figure it out.
Good material. Yeah,
good material. But we'll figure that all out. I got to do some research. That allows me to do some research now. Hopefully that the board will be helping me do some research too on that too, because I don't know.
Yeah, if you can use the original designs too. A bunch of people have the old ones, and there might be people who'd be willing to donate who aren't going, right? Like, I think I have 2.
If I can remember correctly, it's like in total, it's 60 people that need to go, right? If I'm correct, if my numbers are correct.
Sounds right.
It's like close to 60 or something that need to go. Because I have to know exactly what I know, fives, women's threes, and you have your duels. Is there going to be a 16s, or is there is there 10 16s, or is there 30s? I have no idea, so I got to figure that out. I have no idea. They have not said anything, so we'll figure it out. But yeah, so everyone, that was the podcast. I'll put the audio out eventually because I'm kind of lazy with that on my website. But this is on Facebook, this is on YouTube, so everyone can see this. There's some, AMCF. It's a new era. It has kind of sort of begun, and we're transitioning.
You, buddy.
So don't hate me until you have something to hate me for, but I'm sure you already hate me already. Also, I know that I'm officially banned. I think I'm officially banned from ACW. I think that's official now.
Oh, wow.
Hey, welcome to the club. Hey.
My source
I'm sure that's it's like, but I've always wanted, but actually, I'm gonna have someone from ACW on the event. I'm gonna have Santos, who's regional commander for ACW, on the Santos. Even though he smacked me in the head with his axe, went through my helmet.
What?
Yeah, it happened at Carnage. Still
Clearly
forgive him.
meant-
I forgive him. I always
He
forgive him.
meant to do it. He was clearly purposeful.
It's
Starting beef right now.
Well, hey guys, Beer Better Thoughts, is now the AMCF president with yours. But also with that, I have some semi-sad news. Because I am taking on so much and I'm getting married and I don't know how much longer I'm going to do the show. I'm thinking about episode 50 something, 52, 53 or something like that. I'm doing it way longer than I thought I'd ever do it. So there's nice. So the show might be like once a month or twice a month maybe, and then it slowly not exist after a while. Just because I've got so much going on. I'm like, AMCF, work, Knights of Wakanda stuff, Warlord stuff,
Wedding
stuff.
That's probably a big one you should have named earlier.
Yeah. She's watching. I'm sure she's going to be. I had to negotiate. to keep some things, and I don't think that this is going to be one of those things that she's going to let me keep, but we'll see. It's either I can keep the beer, but I can't keep the beer podcast. I got to do or the other, and I get my 1 to 2 beers a week, so I'm going to keep that. So, but yeah. Hey y'all, Beer Better Thoughts. Like I said, thank you so much for everyone support, your future support for MCF as Presidente, El Presidente. Questions, comments, concerns, put in the comments. Don't DM me like 50 messages because you're about something about qualifiers.
Every question I have is going to be its own message from now on.
Yeah.
Even if I have 3 at a time, each a separate block.
I'll be like, ask your local rep. 'Cause I'm not. I think almost perfectly, it almost works out to like there's one almost like on every kind of right now. I think everyone's kind of like everywhere in different places. So direct you guys to them.
Yeah, that should probably be listed on the website and stuff too, and the Facebook pages along with the board members. Because I don't know who my local rep is for AMCF.
Yours would be Fran Walker.
Cool. Hi, Fran. I'll see you next weekend.
Yeah. But with that, like I said, thank you guys so much. I usually do like the last sip beer prayer, but I'm tired and I already drank all my beer, so
Was it good?
That means it was good.
You never said.
It
You never
was good.
talked about it.
5% Pink Delicious, 7% lemon sour, lemon raspberry. I usually get more into the beer, talk about it more, and I usually have like other questions. But this is kind of me being interviewed in my own show, so
Flipped it. We flipped the script.
all right. Anybody wants to, still upset or wants to be upset or just wants to be pre-upset about me about any decisions I make, I will be at Axe next weekend. So if you want to just hit me real hard or get your extra couple whacks, and I'll be doing melees. I won't be doing duels for the first time this year. So
Yeah. I laughed at your comment because I didn't think you were serious about that.
Oh, no,
and I
yeah,
actually saw your name removed. I was like, shit, I need to go react that comment because I look like a dick.
Yeah, no, people know. Other people were messaging me like, "Oh man, what's good?" Like Ringo messaged me, and a couple other people messaged like, "Are you sure? Were you just joking? Or are you serious?" I'm like, no, I'm serious. I won't be.
I thought you were joking.
No.
And then I got worried. I was like, shit.
I got the vid, and then we were short on refs, and Then I wasn't 100% confident on my cardio after getting COVID, and I'm struggling with that. So, and then I hadn't really trained in duels that much. I did I did Dragon Con. That was fun. But then I was kind of mostly messing around during that anyway. So to do a series tournament, I hadn't really done too much training for it. But I'll be back and ready to go for qualifiers because I'm going to fight in that. So
Hell yeah.
cool. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Beer Better Thoughts. That's the end of the show. Thanks, Mikey. Thanks, Ringo. Office of the President. I'm out of here. Bye.